Well, let's have a look ahead to the quarterfinals then. Let's start with Wales, Argentina. How much are Wales going to miss Faletau? Because he's a big part of their game plan, isn't he?
Yeah, he's huge. He's like the dad of the group, and I mean that respectfully because he's been there, done it. You know, he's been in some mammoth games for Wales, for the British and Irish Lions, and he's a top quality operator. You know, there's times when he's had injuries and niggles and he's been quiet, but international test animal, that is Toby Faletau. So he's kind of the bridge between, you know, the youngsters that are coming through, but he's a dependable minimum 8 out of 10 player week in, week out. And so he's a huge loss to them. I'm gutted for him because, you know, how many more times will you see him in a Welsh jersey after the World Cup? You know, you want him to go out on a high and breaking your arm against Georgia. Unfortunately for him, it's very sad. And it's sad for Wales as well. They have a lot of talent in the back row. Obviously, I think Wainwright will come in to play at 8. You know, Jack Morgan in the back row as well. And then there's obviously a decision between Basham, Tommy Rafael, Lydiate as the A another. It's a huge loss though. The ball carrying, the physicality, the knowledge, the game understanding, and just that calm and influence, I think, over a Welsh team, whilst giving them a lot of go forward. I think he'll be a huge loss.
Pablo Matera's out for Argentina as well, isn't he?
Well, I mean,
yeah,
but that's we're at the stage of the tournament now where this happens, isn't it? I know it can happen at any time to any player. I think he's a big player for them, big emotional driver, which is a lot of Argentina's game. Like I will say, these games between the two of them are always close. Like you could say they play fairly similar way, but that's probably a superficial line when I'm talking about it. The games are always close. Both great coaches at the helm. Argentina have just built, haven't they, throughout the tournament to get to this point. They've almost embarrassed themselves. You think about how bad they were against England game 1, England down to 14
Do you reckon
men.
they planned it? I was thinking about this over the weekend because they have got better and better, right? Do you reckon they planned it?
No. Andrew, I don't
Let's
think...
be not very good. I just think back to Marcelo Lafreda when we had him as coach. Just
Jim,
as it was.
Jim, you know play well against the Irish. I said, Marcelo, I didn't fucking play against London Irish. What are you talking about?
A lovely man, Marcelo Lafreda.
Lovely man, but my goodness, man.
They've got progressively better. They've got some quality players. Carreras at 10, we know is brilliant. Carreras on the wing, outstanding. I love Choco Barres in centres. Obviously scored a pretty tasty try against Japan. Buffelli kicks the ball unbelievably well. He's a decent player. Sometimes question how much he wants it under the high ball, but Cinti, brilliant. Juan Cruz Malia as well at fullback. I mean,
they've got some proper players like Marcus Kremer in the back row, Julian Montoya or Montoya, whoever you listen to on comms around
Montoya.
They've got quality players. Like there's undeniable, some of the highest paid players in the world within their squad, but they need to get their emotional driver, which they will have against Wales at the weekend. I think it's going to be a lot closer, not than what people think, but maybe a lot closer than what I maybe thought it would have been.
Yeah.
If you asked me 2-3 weeks ago.
So momentum to me, Argentina have got momentum now. Like the game against Japan was a really enjoyable game actually. A lot of tries, breaks. Just while we're talking about that game, I thought of you, Jim. I really did. You know I'm going to go with this. Do you know where I'm going with this, Jim?
Discipline?
No.
Missed tackles?
No. Amato Fakatava. Did you see his try? Second row. Going down. I thought Jim Hamilton against India all over again. Apart from he's doing it against a Tier 1 nation, Argentina. The chip. He makes the break. The chip gets the ball back. He nearly gets Judas when he scores the try by, I think it was Carreras. But, I mean, it was a great game. That was a hell of a try. But for me, Argentina momentum's building.
I ain't ever going against Wales ever again. Wales are winning the World Cup. Well,
mate, no, Jim, don't say that because they'll now lose.
Okay,
you need to keep bagging them.
Okay,
because they keep proving you wrong.
But I can't against Argentina. I think Wales are just surprising it, and I think it's massive for rugby with everything that they've been through. I think Wales win it. It'll be closer.
I'll tell you what is interesting. Obviously, you're looking at all 4 quarterfinals, and it's Northern Hemisphere against Southern Hemisphere in them all. And it'd be really interesting. Obviously, all the Northern Hemisphere teams top the group. Andy Rowe, how are you? But you can see, you can make an argument for it could be an all Northern Hemisphere semi-finals, which is madness, really, isn't it? But to me, I don't know. I want to back Wales because of Gats, because of I'm quarter Welsh. You know, they've knocked out the Aussies. Happy days.
Has something spiked in your mind with Argentina because how good their attack was? Yeah. That's the one thing, because against Japan, because how much Japan wanted the game, how physical they were. But I was surprised to see actually how electric Argentina looked at times.
Yeah.
And that's the one seed of doubt. But Wales' defence is very good.
Yeah. So, tough one.
You do it. I'm going to go Wales. I reckon Wales win by 8.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel harsh doing this. My head says one thing, my heart wants another.
What do they
Go
want?
expert.
My heart wants Wales. My head is saying Argentina by 2.
Ooh, okay then.
I hope I'm wrong.
What about Ireland, New Zealand?
Yes, come on, the Irish. I'm pretty much Irish.
Where's this going to be won and lost?
I need to go through my family lineage and see. It's got to be Irish in there somewhere. I've travelled somewhere.
Who hasn't got a bit of Irish in them somewhere?
I've had a lot of Guinness in me, so that counts.
Yeah, that does.
Would it be fair to say New Zealand may be better with the ball, Ireland better without the ball?
Mate,
No.
did you not see the game at the weekend? How good are Ireland with the ball?
Unbelievable. It
say
just
they were
looks
bad.
different. It just looks different because they're
Scored a few
close
tries
quarter
against
work.
Uruguay, pal.
Yeah, Brian O'Driscoll, chatting to him last week, he gave the perfect kind of outline. He's like, it's 55% Ireland, 45% New Zealand. The All Blacks have won the World Cup 3 times, right? They've got history in the tournament. But in terms of the emotional drivers, I'll go back to it, in terms of how the teams look, in terms of the profile of the teams, like Ireland know they're 15. That's if Mac Hansen gets through the week with his calf. I think it was a dead leg. James Lowe with an eye. James Ryan with a hand. But you know the Ireland team, and they're all in the right positions.
Yeah.
With the All Blacks, there's a few questions. Does Sam Cane start? Does Damien McKenzie come in? And because they're not battle hardened, because they've had 2 effective team runs going into that game, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing?
Bad.
I think it's bad. I think Ireland look unbelievably conditioned, everything that we've gone through and spoken about. I think the All Blacks, for the first time, maybe ever, they did in the semi-final against England as well, but maybe the first time to say it out loud, I think the All Blacks, and I've not said this out loud, and it's kind of been referenced a few times, and it is an obvious thing when you watch all the games, compared to Ireland, South Africa and France, I think the All Blacks lack a bit of power, especially in that front 5. The question marks over Sam Cane, does he start, is a big one because he's captain. These are questions. He will start. I think, but this is what I mean. There you go. How many times have we ever said that the All Blacks captain number 7 shouldn't start? We've never said that. So when all that's said and done, it feels like there's a fractured element to the All Blacks going into this game. Ian Foster, no longer coach. I would be absolutely shocked, which is crazy to even say, I'd be shocked. If the All Blacks beat Ireland at the weekend, which I don't think they will, I will be absolutely shocked.
Yeah. A good shout, that, Jim. I mean...
Have I sold you the pencil?
You've sold me the pencil, Jim. You are a pencil and you've sold it to me.
What about the line out?
I don't think the line out's even a talking point, Andy Rowe. Sorry to cut you off.
Well, James Ryan looks like he could be injured.
Yeah, but
Henderson, I thought Henderson played well.
Yeah, Henderson will say that
it looked a bit shaky against the Springboks.
Yeah, it did, but I don't know. You're right. I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. With
Sheehan's
that,
back. Sheehan's different there, but it's an issue without Sheehan, I think. But
Goody, I'm going to put this one while you think and muffle your way through the answer. Andy Rowe, I'm going to come to you on this. Don't go deep. Don't go TMO on me. Just give us a couple of lines on whether or not you think the All Blacks will win.
Let's hear the arrogance. Come on.
I think they will win.
Arrogance.
My word.
Based on what?
Based on how they always knew that this is the game that they needed to win. The first game against France and the game against Springboks, this is all building towards this game. Whereas Ireland have had to show their card all the way through the tournament. You're looking at their injuries. James Ryan, Matt Hansen, James Lowe, Robbie Henshaw and Keith Earls all under injury clouds. The All Blacks have been able to manage their team to peak.
You played some touch rugby, mate.
Yeah, but they've been able to manage their players on an athlete level to be peaking for this quarterfinal.
Gilly.
If they
Gilly's a legend.
Gilly,
Yeah.
look what he did to you.
Yeah.
He'll be doing the same with the All Blacks. So
Those stick him on a watt bike to lose 18 kilos. I hope not.
So they'll be in
With injections.
They don't have the niggles, they don't have the injuries that any other team in the competition had. So everything is pointing towards what Ian Foster's been saying is they've learnt from 2019 where they peaked to beat South Africa, and then it didn't really matter. So they've gone, okay, the game that matters is the quarterfinal.
Are you saying you're throwing games on the way to this quarterfinal?
Yeah, I'll put my name to it.
Oh, Andy Rowe. It's interesting, and it is a decent argument from a Kiwi.
But he's almost convinced. But he's almost like, as in, because maybe it is that arrogance, right? Maybe it is that arrogance where I'm like, is Andy Rowe just fucking convinced one of the best podcasters on the planet, the expert who thought Scotland were going to beat Ireland at the weekend? But that's what makes it so good.
I think your argument, Jim, is a stronger argument than Andy Rowe's argument, because yes, they're fresh. Still doesn't mean they've got a load of power.
Why are you the judge on this? Why are you?
You've given me your argument. Andy Rowe's given me his argument as to why New Zealand are going to win. But you're right, Jim. The power element, like the tight five, ain't great.
They're not the same.
You know, you play Takiaho, he can't throw in. Why are you being horrible? Takiaho's not going to start, though, is he?
A few issues at
stake
with the props.
Cody Taylor's going to start.
Takiaho might not even be in the 23.
Really?
Might not even. Dane Coles has been playing well off the bench.
Yeah, true.
And they want Dane Coles in there for the chirp.
Is Colesy starting?
For the chirp. Hang on, wait there. Andy Rowe.
Picking a team on chat.
Well, they're fucked.
Yeah, on breath and chat.
They're fucked, Goody. If that's Andy Rowe's assessment
that's
on
what
how
the All Blacks have
win.
gone down to. We're picking a team and we're picking a guy in the 23 just to give some shit chat to try and rile up the Irish.
Talking of riling up.
Scotland tried that. How did that go?
I think you're massively underestimating the tight five for the All Blacks. Massively.
Oh, no, we're not. No,
they're coming
not,
good
mate.
now. They're coming good now.
Based on what?
Based on
Uruguay.
Based on they've been able to manage the
You can't even say it, mate.
They got absolutely smoked by South Africa. They got absolutely decimated.
Keep going.
And that reinforces my point. They had been on the plane
coming over
jet lag. Five days beforehand. 5 days beforehand, they'd come over and they were jet lagged. And most of them, their top players hadn't played for a month. South Africa were coming off a game against Wales where they hosed them. This is a plan. This is Foster's grand plan. And
okay.
It's all coming.
You just said they've not been tested. They're fresh.
I didn't say they hadn't been tested.
You said they threw the game against France, and then they've been playing touch ever since. But yeah, no, there is an argument. Obviously, you know, when you see how the All Blacks have carved up against Namibia and Uruguay, I mean, they did look good, but they came. I think they were third best against France, weren't they? I thought the TMO was even better than them. But
they've also had 9 days rest.
Keep going. It's all about the rest day. What happens when you change that and say, well, they're not battle hardened?
Well, that's the other argument, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, who knows? But they always knew they weren't going to be battle hardened.
Listen,
so they're prepared for it.
You know, it's one of those that New Zealand are a good team. Like, the shapes they put on, but Jim's point around the game's all about physicality now and win that physical battle. And I'm sure Ireland will get their levels back up emotionally, physically. Yes, they're going to have a few sore bodies, but it's kind of like destiny for them at the minute. And you can argue about the All Blacks and Ardie Savea, and you know the balance of the back row is crucial. The tight five, I'd take Ireland's tight five every day of the week over the All Blacks tight five. Then in the back row, yes. Like, how many All Blacks players make it into the Ireland team? If you were picking a combined team,
well, they've already got 3 Ireland. Sorry, I know. Sorry,
there's 3 in the Irish team that wouldn't make the All Blacks. I'll tell you that.
And that's the point. Ardie Savea makes it in.
Yeah, he's the key. He's got the keys to the kingdom. So Ardie Savea makes it in. Well, there you go.
Hold on, Scott Barrett in what position? What position are you picking Scott Barrett in?
At lock.
Ahead of who? James Ryan and.
James Ryan's injured, yeah. So I've checked.
Just because he's injured.
Yeah, you know what? I think Scott Barrett's an unbelievable player. I'd maybe have him in. Yeah,
cheap shot, Judas.
But. Yeah, but take that aside. Maybe that the centres aren't getting it. Even Geordie Barrett, even Rico Ioane, and Nick Gill said he was one of the best athletes. But Bundy Aki for me is the player of the tournament. Ringrose.
I might put.
Yeah, there is an argument actually. Yeah, ahead of Ringrose.
He hasn't been that great.
Yeah,
he needs a big game.
Well, if he doesn't, they're out, Andy Rowe. Good, you got to give us a mate. You've not said. I'm going to go Ireland. I mean, it doesn't even matter
mate,
whether or not it's
Ireland.
1-4-10.
If England can't win it, which I don't think we can at the minute, Ireland.
It's
Ireland
not
are
what you
winning
want.
this.
It's not what you want. Go ahead on this. Go ahead on Ireland.
No,
Sorry.
what
Go
I want
ahead.
and what I want and my head, my heart and my head are both saying Ireland, because unless something happens to Johnny Sexton and something may transpire against Ireland at some point with an injury, and
He's
Sexton's
the one,
key.
Goody.
I love the way
he is the key.
Yeah, I love the way he came off after 40 odd minutes. They're like, done here, lads. Sexto, give yourself a rest. And New Zealand will target him. Don't get me wrong, but he fronts up to these challenges. So there's the bit of the quarterfinal who do, New Zealand are fresh. I just look at Ireland and I think they're the complete team at the minute. Both sides of the ball. Defensively, they are to a man, working so hard for each other and physical as you like. And sometimes when New Zealand go up against that, they look lost as an attacking team. If they don't get over the gain line, because they haven't got, like Jim says, the power to necessarily just bust through tackles, they do look lost, and that plays into Ireland's hands a bit. For me. So I'm going to go Ireland by 7.
Oh, I don't even think it matters, but I'm going to say Ireland by
12.
11. How did you know?
11?
I was going to say 11.
Yeah. Andy Rowe, what you go?
Wow.
Doesn't matter.
I think New Zealand by 4.
There you go.
I think they're going to be more physical than you think with Frizzell.
We're trying to get Andy Rowe tickets for the quarterfinal. He wants to come and be pitch side of the Big Jim show, but we've got
Mate, get him on.
Get him in there.
Get him on. He's got 16 listeners to his podcast. You can collaborate.
Well, we'll see. If Dan Carter, Richie McCaw and Noel Horan pull out, then we might think about getting you on, Andy Rowe.
England and Fiji. Goody, are you nervous about this at all? Or how confident are you going into this game? I mean, you're not confident of the way England's playing.
No. I look at Fiji and... do you know what? From the weekend, Portugal played exceptionally well. And a few weeks ago, everyone was saying, Fiji are everyone... If you don't support Fiji, they're your second team because of how they play and all this stuff. Their tank looks like it's running low at the minute. Naitha Levu, skipper, went down with a bit of a knee, got it strapped up. Was he at full speed? Randrandra's injured. Like, if they're on it, we're in trouble. Make no bones about it. If they're on it and the tanks are full and Randrandra's there to us over, he didn't look...
That's what I was going to say.
Best.
What you've just said then about Fijian tanks look low on energy, that's exactly what I was going to say. And you're 1,000,000% right. They look like they're just completely... They've given so much at the start. And that win against England the week before the World Cup as well, that emotional toll it's taken.
Yeah. And,
What about England's tanks?
Well, England's tanks are just slow at the minute. I don't think we're low on energy. We're just we're running on diesel. But I'm back in England because I'm English. I want England to win. I'll be hosting down at Flatiron Square, so I'll be on the beers. And you want a big atmosphere. It's just been underwhelming again. It's back to the summer series with that performance. And emotionally, we probably weren't at the races because we'd already qualified. You can say the same about Fiji. They hadn't already qualified, but maybe they were a bit lacklustre because maybe they took Portugal lightly, even though Simon Louis was on here last week and kind of saying, we just concentrate on the next game, we'll do our research and look at Portugal and focus on that. And they did enough to get through. But Fiji didn't look anywhere near as explosive against Portugal as you'd expect. And I was watching it, I was thinking, Fiji will just turn it on now and they'll end up winning by 15 points or whatever. And then Botia gets binned. They've got freak athletes. We spoke about it last week. They've got world-class players. If they can get parity at set piece, which is where England will focus all their energy on dominating that and kicking it. If we kick long and loose to Fiji, we can be in trouble. If we kick to compete and win our ball back, and Courtney Law said it in the week about the DNA of the England team is how strong our defence is and how we win ball back off our own kicks and we launch attack off that, which I love Courtney. I think he speaks really well. But I was like, if that's the mindset of a team saying our DNA is defence and winning the ball back off contestable kicks and then attacking off that, it ain't a great game plan, is it? But England will be pragmatic and play the Steve Borthwick way. If we play anywhere near like we played against Samoa, Fiji win by 10 points because they have
By 10
the
points.
star-studded quality to finish, and they'll get themselves. Imagine like the Fiji group now, and England. They've been to World Cup finals and all this stuff and big games, but this is huge for Fiji, and it just whether, and Jim said it before, if they can get that emotional energy right, they're going to be damn hard to stop. But I just think England. I'm hoping England have got too much nous and too much set-piece dominance to win the game. Come on, England.
I don't know what it is about England, and maybe it is the quarter of English in me, but
Go on, James.
I think it is a disaster for English rugby if they
Played
don't beat
4-1-4.
Fiji. Yeah, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. If they get knocked out by Fiji,
Like Bill Sweeney says we're on the cusp of something great.
Well, we'll find out, won't we? Because where do they go? There's talk of another team potentially going in the Prem. Like it's absolute madness out there. I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you on the forum live. You know, anyway.
I know.
And England get knocked out. Not just get knocked out, they get knocked out having played how they've played. I think a disaster. You've got to be careful when you use the word disaster, especially in sport. But you know what I'm doing. I'm trying to build.
It's a disaster.
If
they get knocked out by Fiji, you can call it
could be worse. Could be Australia with Eddie Jones, lads. Come on.
Yeah, he's in Japan now. Apparently, he was saying. But
Seen him
I
at the
just
circus
think
yesterday.
But that's
He was
what
a
I mean.
clown. Genuine.
I think it's a big word using the word disaster, but I just think for English rugby, they need to galvanise spirit somehow. And I'll go back to mine and Goody's when we initially said it at the same time around the tank being empty for Fiji. That's what it looks like. Were they embarrassed against Portugal? I thought Portugal were phenomenal. But really, Fiji should be losing to Portugal. So, yes, you can say on that side of things, they were slightly embarrassed. So, have they got one last push in them? Because I think if Fiji do get past England, I don't think they go any further, with all due respect. So, do they have that emotional push just one last time? Because I agree with Goody. If they do, they beat England. But I just think England understand the enormity of it, and maybe they've got something up their sleeve. So I think England win, and I think that they click into gear, and England win by 10.
Oh, I was going to say 10. Thank you, James, for backing our country.
Maybe you already said 10, and that's just in my psyche. Maybe we've had this conversation, but
Yeah. But thank you for backing our country, Jim. You're English. Thank you.
Do the Springboks go with Lebok or Pollard?
Lebok.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Razzie said it, hasn't he? Talked about it. And Andre, be interesting actually to see the balance of the bench with the Springboks. Because you can make an argument for a 6-2 and not have Pollard on the bench as well. But he's probably going to go 6-2 and have to have Andre Pollard. Because there is that huge question mark. Even though Lebok kicked 3 from 3, didn't he, I think, when he came on in the last game. Tough one.
Hard
this is,
game to call. This is the hard. I'd say this
wait.
is the 50-50.
Yeah. Can't wait for DuPont reading the press today that he's back training.
Apparently so.
Ready to go. I mean,
Can you imagine?
how hard are you to be able to do that? Like he's a phenomenon.
What did you have to say?
Tough
Say
one
it,
to call.
say it. Go on. Like, as in,
My
if you had
head's
to
saying
say
South
it now.
Africa.
Mine
My
too.
head's saying South Africa.
Mine too.
Really?
Mental.
But the pressure now of you're playing the world champions who have got muscle memory of winning big knockout games. They've got an immensely strong squad and bench. The knock-on effect of some of the injuries that the French have had.
Yeah.
Is their bench as strong as South Africa's? I don't think so.
The one thing around South Africa, I think that you just can potentially see the creek is around hooker. I know that Clive mentioned it on ITV that Matola Mapimpi needs to come on at hooker.
Apparently needs to.
He's the answer. Mapimpi's the answer to come on. But as we know that he's gone home with a broken eye socket. But you do wonder if it's a close game and you've got Dion Ferree or you've got Van Staden, whoever they decide to put in that position and throw the ball in. We're talking about the very best teams in the world where them small things matter. So with Bungie and
Make big
Banambi,
differences.
you're all right. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I just think
Is Evan fit? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Spoke to
think
you, mate?
he is fit. He is fit. He felt fit when I touched him. But I know what you mean. I know what you mean. There's a few niggles and stuff like that. But you think about the kind of the backbone of that team. Like, they look good, don't they? Damon Willemse at 15 looks very good. Curtly Aronson is on fire when he plays. Cheslin Colby. Delande's back to his very best. Jesse Creel looks $1 million. But there are a couple of questions. There's a couple of question marks on both teams. Like, is Dupont, is it right for him to play? I think it is if he's been past fit. But has that distracted them away? You know, like you said, some of the injuries that they've got, the pressure of being at home. It is the world champions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's, do you know what is massive is interpretation, refereeing, and how that goes. Because we've seen some things where the bigger teams have got favourable decisions, haven't they? You know, the most ridiculous one was where they chalked off Italy's try at the weekend. Carl Dixon chalked it off with the TMO when Ferrari's cleaned out Luku and he's hit him in the chest.
See, I think that's the right
Clear it
decision, but not that. His
What?
angle. I think his angle that he came in. I know he didn't give it for that, but I thought the angle that Ferrari came
Try
in.
scored. You can't go back and go, I can't give that try because you came in at the side.
I
after
know.
giving the try.
It's a bit, but you know what I mean. But it was still an infringement. But I know what you mean. I know, Andrew. I know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the refereeing is going to be key and seeing who's in charge of which games. I can imagine someone like Wayne Barnes getting that game.
Oh, wait, mate, his legs are gone. Barnes' legs are gone.
Legs.
They ain't
Luke
giving him a
Pearce,
quick game.
top referee, best in the world at the minute. Who's your best ref at the minute, Jim?
Best ref at the minute.
O'Keefe?
Yeah, I would say I like Ben O'Keefe at the minute.
Yeah. Piper?
Mm-mm.
You're not having that?
I'd go okay for Luke Pearce.
Oh, look at you
surely.
being a Kiwi again.
Yeah,
Oh, New
I think Luke
Zealand.
Pearce as well. Yeah, but I mean,
Who's winning the game?
I'm going to go South Africa by 5.
I was going to say South Africa by 4, which again,
Great minds, Jim. Or
unbelievable.
absolute clowns. You work it out.
Well, I know which one. I know which one people are thinking. Unbelievable that potentially we'll see France, South Africa, and New Zealand out this weekend.
Hard to call though, isn't it? Like these.
It is. We're putting pressure on ourselves.
The two games between Ireland and New Zealand and France and South Africa, without going over old ground, they feel like semi-finals, don't they?
They do.
And that's what you want. You want semis and obviously every knockout game, but so hard to call. It's just such a shame that 4 of them are all playing against each other, even though that helps out England and Fiji and Wales and Argentina. But I'll go South Africa by 5, yeah.
Rugby Pod.